frankly, I don't even know where to begin this morning. I guess I should begin at the beginning and say good morning and welcome to the Aired Out Podcast. I love Wednesdays. Part of the reason I love Wednesdays is that I get to chat with Deb Phillips from The World, and I think she's with me. Good morning, Deb.
Good morning, JD.
How are you?
Oh, good.
I know
Beautiful
that's a loaded question on a Wednesday, but listen, I love our partnership. I love you guys, Gary and the rest of the team over there. You guys work so hard putting this paper together every single week, and you've been doing it for what, 50 plus years now?
Yes, yep. Yes, we have.
53?
Well, the paper's been around 53. Gary and I have been doing it for almost 51.
Amazing. What do we expect in the paper today, Deb, when it comes out?
Well, we have the Plainfield Old Home Days, the schedules in this week's World. It's coming up for September 5th and 6th. Lots of really fun things going on. We have our money-saving coupons, and plus our reuse recycle directory, and lots of local news and events.
Yeah, you guys got some great write-ups, man. I've been reading some of the stuff lately and really taking a little bit more time than I usually do to read some of the stories of what's happening, not just locally, but in our whole state. And it's really good content lately, Deb.
Yeah, yes, they have really worked hard on, upgrading the content and getting as much information into each week that we can.
Tonight, I will be out on the patio, probably with a cup of coffee, flipping through The World with my optical expressions glasses on so that I can see properly and read properly. But that's what I'll be doing. I'm dead serious, and I look forward to it. It is my moment of calmness, and I'm excited about it. I look forward to it. I actually do. I know that's maybe sad to some people, Deb, but
No.
I really do. I really do. Thanks for coming on every Wednesday. Anything else you can think of that you would like to share in the paper today, Deb?
Well, we have our Fall Explorer coming up pretty soon, and that'll have a lot of fall events and information in there. So we'll be doing that most likely coming out mid-September.
All right. The changes season. It is such a busy time for so many of us, Deb.
Yes.
Thank you ever so much for coming on. We appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. All right, Deb?
All right. Thanks, JD.
All right. Say hi to Gary for us. This morning, this is a guest. And I said to Sherilyn last night, I'm like, I got Tom Murphy coming in tomorrow morning. And she went just like this. Really? I'm so excited to have you in here, buddy. This is Christmas morning for me, buddy. Seriously.
So, well, quick, I got to tell the listeners. So I walk in here this morning to JD's studio, and I hear this grunting and groaning, and there's JD, and he's and so I run across the room, and I grab him, and I get behind him, and he's choking, and I'm just giving him and he goes, no, he goes, I'm just warming up.
Yeah.
That's how I warm up my voice. So
somebody somewhere has security footage of this, and two guys out in the parking lot hugging each other with free hugs shirts on. I mean, wow.
Well,
just saying.
Giving me a little new technique for warming up. For my warming up my voice, as most people know, I spend most of my time speaking to young people and lots of other people around the country. And I got a new little technique when I walked in. I like to tell young people all the time that life is not a talent contest. It's a strategy game. And those who have the great strategies win the game of life. And that's what it's all about. So I got a new strategy today. And here's a good illustration. I know we're just starting football. Go Eagles. hometown.
Okay. Yes, Philadelphia.
Yeah, and but when the NCAA basketball team tournament rolls around, I always give this one to young people. I say, how many teams are there in the NCAA basketball tournament? This is an illustration that life is not a talent contest, that it's a strategy game.
Okay.
So say there's 68 teams in the tournament in the month of March, and it's a single elimination tournament. How many total games are played in the month of March? So there's 68 teams, and you could obviously take a piece of paper and pencil, and you could put half on one side, half on the other, and start eliminating them and counting the number of total games. But I already gave you the answer. You just didn't have the strategy. Ooh. That's right. So you want to take a guess on how many total games are played in the month of March?
I guess nothing.
Well, there's 64. You could at least guess like 20, 30, 50.
31.
Okay, 31. Now, I said I already gave you the answer. It's a single elimination tournament, which means every team loses except for one. If there's 68 teams, there's got to be 67 losses. You just didn't have the strategy. And if we framed education that way with young people, maybe the game would change a bit to find out what strategies work for individuals, because not every strategy works for individuals. And what I like to tell people is that good leaders, they're just strategy collectors. And so my life, because I'm not too smart, I have yet to find my academic equal. I had a combined 630 on my SATs. And so most people got that on 1/2. So I'm still in search of my academic equal anyway. But the reason I have done what I've done in life is because I've had some great leaders that have given me great strategies to use in this journey called life.
I have to begin this morning by saying that my my partnership with you guys, with Sweethearts and Heroes, has been probably one of the greatest gifts I've had so far in my career. And I am so blessed to have met not only you, but your whole team, and to bring your message, what you guys are doing, onto my program, my podcast, every Wednesday. It has been a ride. I know that you're a crazy busy guy, and you probably haven't had a chance to watch every episode that we've done. But man, it's like Jen, Rick, Joe, Brian, everyone has had such an incredible impact here. Sometimes I forget when I'm talking with you guys that we're on a platform with a lot of people listening, and I'm like, I'm just taking it into my heart. It's amazing what you guys are doing.
Can we pause for a sec? Tell me about your daughter. How's she doing? Before anything, we got to get to the most important. I like to. Here's
You're
another
going
good,
for the jugular.
Here's another good strategy. You know, as human beings, we know what the most important thing is, but do we always make it the most important thing? Right? And so I do like to tell adults, people, humans, that you have to make the most important thing the most important thing. And we know that, but inevitably things get in the way. I'm busy. I got to do this. I got to do that. And we just don't make the most important thing the most important thing. It sounds kind of silly. And if you say that to yourself in the morning, I got to make the most important thing the most important thing, because we don't do that.
The morning that Pat Fish came in here was the same morning that. Did you ever get a chance to see that?
Yeah, I did.
Right. It was the same morning that Lily went out to the chicken coop and found a trapped blue jay, and it was the most important thing to allow that opportunity, and that's what it is. Everything's an opportunity.
Amen.
It's like bad experiences, opportunity. Great experiences, opportunity. And I'm like, don't lose sight of this, man. It's like, who gives a damn that she's going to be late for school? Let her savor this moment and let her spend some time with this blue jay. And Pat he just ran with that.
Yeah, he's been asking kids that question last
I
year.
know he
Yeah,
has. That's crazy.
Yeah. So what's going on? I would prefer you start with your wife because I have some deep things to say about, what the most important thing should be in your life. But I don't think the world is ready for this lesson when it comes to wives and children and men. That's a big, deep conversation that'll probably have to happen off air with us because, but it's a big one. But
Have you been talking with Sherilyn?
No, I would prefer you start with your wife, but I'll let you start with your daughter or wherever you'd like to begin.
We've, just like everybody else, we've had our challenges. For the most part, we've had a fantastic summer. In my opinion, probably one of the best.
What was your favorite thing about the summer with your wife?
Probably the fact that we went to Maine for a week, and I had my ocean fishing pole, and I really wanted to fish from the shore. And she was having a fit because she didn't want anything to do with fish inside of her car, and didn't want to bring the fishing pole. So we had a back and forth on that for quite a while. I won, got the pole packed. We get to this beach, and she was having a fit about me even taking the pole out of the car. Of course, we had to stop and, get some squid and some bait and stuff. So she's having a nut about this stuff being in her car. That stuff's not going in there. You'll walk back. So I took the fishing pole out of the car and set it down by our beach where we were sitting on the beach, and still, you're not fishing. Yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. I never put the pole together. I never fished. Instead, we played with Lily in the water. Lily was surfing, and we were in the waves and having a great time. It was amazing. And this went on for probably 2 hours at least. And I'm standing there chest deep, and I look down, and I see something huge in front of me in the water. Huge. And I'm like, what is that? Bang! I get hit by a wave. I lose sight of it. I'll brush it off. A couple of minutes later, I look down, I see it again. I'm like, what is that? There's this huge thing in the water in front of me. Bang! I get hit by another wave. I can't see it anymore. A couple of minutes go by, I look down and I see it again. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to reach in and touch it. Of course, that's the smart thing to do. So I reach in, 2 hands, and I feel that it's a fish. A rather large fish. I put my hands around the back of the tail, and I can feel it, the tail starting to flap, starting to swim away. Reach down with my other hand and scoop it. Bend down. I got both hands underneath this fish, this giant fish, and I stand up, and I'm holding what was estimated to be a 45-inch striper. Massive fish. I turned around and I walked into the shore with it. And Sherilyn is standing there, and we are having ourselves a laugh. She's like, that's the biggest fish that you've ever caught and probably will ever catch. And you caught it with your bare hands.
JD, this might
Can you make this up?
this might be the greatest fish story. Let me just call it what it is: the greatest lie I've ever heard in my life.
I'll call Sherilyn
Dude,
right now and
dude,
put her on
dude,
the air
dude,
if I have to.
Dude, that was the only thing I want you to do is call her and get validation. Don't, please. I know you're grabbing your phone. Don't. You'll ruin the experience for the viewers, for the listeners. I can't even process this, but I'm going to.
Do you know how many inches 4 feet is? Is 48 inches. This was
JD.
just under 4 feet, Tom.
JD, this is so hard to get my arms around. But let me give you
4 feet.
the lesson. I have so many questions for you. This entire episode, I had the most unbelievable day yesterday at Oppenheimer, OESJ, their opening day. It might have been the greatest opening day in 16 years. But this, get ready, folks. There's about a 6-hour conversation coming up here. Now, hold on. Hold the phone. I'm serious. I'm going to get metaphysical on you here. We're going to get biblical, right? And, when this guy, this crazy rabbi that ran around the hills of Judea 2,000 years ago, I read Tom Holland's book called Dominion. He's probably one of the greatest historians of the modern era. Not the Spider-Man Tom Holland, but he's a secular thinker, but he wrote a wonderful book called Dominion. It's long. It's 1,000 pages or something. And I read it within the last year. And he makes a really, some people would say, salacious claim. I don't think it's salacious. I think it's fact-based, that everything we believe in Western society is based on these Judeo-Christian values that this crazy rabbi that ran around the hills of Judea gave to us. And it's withstood the test of time for thousands and thousands of years. Take the transcendent reality out of those stories. Whether you believe them or not, it's faith. It's not knowing, it's faith. So at one point in one of these fairy tales, that some people would call them, they're not catching any fish because they didn't believe. They didn't have faith. So, and then he's going to just show them up. And he snaps his finger. He does his little dance. He does whatever he does that we can't understand. And he said, now drop those nets. And he does. Now, don't interrupt me here because you want to. And they drop the nets. And they get so many fish, apparently, that they can't even haul them into the boat. And it nearly sinks the boat. So the story is, your wife commanded you not to bring that pole. And you were going to fight her tooth and nail on this sucker because you're a man, and that's what men do. They fish. And I'm still trying to process this.
To provide for our families.
Oh, yeah, okay, if you say so. To provide. Survive, provide. I got you, baby. So this is just blowing my mind. So anyway, it takes you and your pride, the pride of life, to show your woman that you're a man, and you just defy her and you bring the pole. But when you get there, you bend the knee and you surrender to the love of your family, your child, your wife. And you surrender. You just bend the knee. And then you go out into the waters of life and you wade in deeply. Chest deep. Right to your heart level, probably. Right? And then it happens. It's like a mirage. You don't even believe it the first time. Right. And it's like, no, that's not what I think it is. And then you reach into the depths of the waters of life and you tickle it to just see what it is. And there it is. Your magnus opus, the thing that you came, the golden calf that you were idolizing and you wanted to bring to the shore to provide for your family. And you just walk out of the sea with this thing in your arms.
Still alive.
Still alive.
Flapping
in your arms. And there's your family. You're the biggest liar I've ever met in my life.
bro.
Dude, I'm going to believe you. I'm going to have faith because that might be the greatest fish story I have ever heard in my life.
People want pictures. They want pictures. I've got pictures and video.
Come on.
Yeah.
Dude, listen.
You give me $50 right now, I'll show you a picture.
This is not rehearsed, folks. I happen to keep a $50 bill in my wallet. I'm going to call his stupid bluff.
Hold on. Show that to the camera a little
Yeah,
closer.
I got it, $50. So listen, before you do this,
Yeah.
I'm in an auditorium yesterday with 200 teachers.
Sure.
And I'm telling a story. When I was in 6th grade, I had a teacher. She had me by the throat against the lockers. We called her Shotzi. Okay? And she has her finger in my face and she said, "You're going to be in jail someday." And how right she was. I'm in school every day of my life for 16 years. So I've been incarcerated in the institution, the beautiful institution of compulsory education, which I have a lot to say about, and I believe in it, for 16 years. So I told this group, just in a little rabbit hole I was in, that when I started Sweethearts and Heroes, I looked up the word, and we're going to get to the fish picture because the people want it. But what we're doing is we're leading them on here.
Sure.
Right? It's a strategy. But this is really, really important.
Yeah.
So I tell them the word bully meant sweetheart in the 16th century. It was a very endearing term. Years later, I'm preaching this about 16th century bullies. It's the solution. It's the hope that someone gives to other people
Yeah.
that they carry around with them.
Yes.
And then it hits me 6 or 7 years into Sweethearts and Heroes. I'm telling somebody about this Shotzi story. Little Tommy Murphy by the throat in front of the whole class. "You're going to be in jail someday." I look up the word Shotzi in the dictionary. Shotzi. And I say to this audience, yesterday, if anybody can tell me what Shotzi means, I'll give you $50 right now. It just comes out of me. I didn't plan to do this. It just comes out. This guy's arm shoots up in the back of the room. He's got this big old crazy mustache. And he says it, "Speaking the Deutsch."
Oh, no.
He said it means sweetheart. What? Swear on my children. I walked to the back of the auditorium. I handed the guy a $50 bill.
That's possibly better than my fish story.
No, because I really believe if there is a transcendent reality, something in the cosmos, which I don't talk about it, but I think about it all the time, like reality, and that's a giant conversation. And what is this experience that we're in?
Yes.
A simulation. I think about it all the time. But the animation of that creature that came to you has some kind of animation or soul in it.
Yes.
And somehow it got into your arms.
Yeah.
If it's true. We have yet to see if it's true.
Would you stop it? It's true. Just give me a second. I'll find the picture.
He's Googling a fish picture. He's what do you call it? Photoshopping his face on there. He is in desperation. The beads of sweat are forming on his forehead right now.
Okay.
Dude, I had some crazy stuff to talk to you about this morning.
Yeah.
And we're in a fish story.
Yeah. Well, no, I understand.
Good
All
Lord.
right. Let me see. Here's a little bit of video.
AI. It's AI. It's AI.
No, it's not AI because you're going to see my face. Stand by. Are you ready?
Dude,
Are you sitting down right now? Here we go.
there's no way.
This is it's a rough video. Sherilyn was shooting this on the GoPro as I was walking out of the ocean. It's not a long video, but
Dude,
but here it
on.
is. Here it is.
Babe, let me just, the biggest fish you've ever caught in your life, and you didn't even fish for it. Look at this. It's from the heels. Yeah, he wasn't trying to swim.
Did you see? Here it is again.
Babe, let me just, caught in your life and you didn't even fish for it. Look at this. It's from the Lindsay Hills. Yeah, he wasn't trying to swim.
There's a God.
The biggest fish you've ever caught in your life.
There has to be some kind of God. There has to be a God. JD,
I know.
you didn't fall on your knees and repent for your wicked ways at that very instant?
There
Hold on. First of all,
There was a tear in my eye.
Here.
I'm going to take it from you.
Well, yeah, if people try and give it back, and I'm like, just give it to someone that needs it, because I don't need it. And I'm not wealthy. Dude, that is the craziest thing I have ever seen in my life. I thought for sure, and I know you were going to say something, but you've told some other stories.
Oh, yeah.
Like even the Blue Jay one, I'm like, come on, dude. Like
Dude,
a Blue Jay.
The Blue Jay story was
I
accurate.
know. I
There was
kind
no
of believed it.
exaggerating on that one.
But I thought you were some kind of liar. Not like one.
Thank you.
Well, listen, I take it back. If Rick Yarish were listening right now,
Rick's listening.
is he really? Oh God, I'm in trouble. We should get him on the horn because he thinks that I lie with some of my stories.
Yeah.
I don't lie. I just add some color commentary.
Sure.
Dude, that might be the greatest. I'm speechless.
Yeah. I'll try to bring it in a little bit more here so you can see.
Dude, stop. Oh gosh.
Striper.
What? I want to know what happened to the fish. Did you reach into its mouth and find a pearl?
Are you ready for this?
Your daughter made you let it go.
First of all, it was very much alive. There it is. I get up to the beach.
I don't want to hear this.
I get up to the beach with this, and within minutes, there's a crowd of people all gathered around. They all have their phones out, and everybody's trying to talk to me at the same time.
Now you're hamming it up here.
Tom?
All right, I believe you. I have faith. I believe. Go.
And these guys are like, there's a couple guys, some Italian guys from Massachusetts. They're like, bro, I've been fishing up here for 40 years, and holy crap, blah, blah, blah. How'd you do this? I caught it with my bare hands. And they saw me walk out of the ocean with it. And they're like, you know what the state limit is, which I'm not going to. I know what it is, but I'm not going to. I don't want to get myself arrested here on the air. But there's a state limit in Maine for a striper. Let's just say that this fish may or may not have been way over the limit, the legal limit for size. I had people saying to me, both, you need to put that back in the ocean right now. And then I had the others that were like, you need to fillet this right now. Let me ask you, Tom. Did I have a knife? I'm on the beach. Do I have a knife? Of course I don't have a knife. I don't have a knife. Lily says to me, we're on this beautiful beach. Dad, go over to those rocks over there. Wait there for me. I'm going to find you a knife. She's 10 years old. We're on a beach. She's got a surfboard. She's having fun. Building sandcastles. She's going to find a knife for me, my 10-year-old? Bring the fish over to the rocks. Hide it in the rocks, as I was advised to. Just in the rare instance that someone may have called one of the game wardens to come down on the beach and see this guy.
You're live on air.
I do.
Okay.
Lily goes up to the parking lot and finds someone in a Volkswagen bus Do you have a knife that I can borrow?
So you sent your daughter up to a stranger's van with no.
She went with Sherilyn.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She went with Sherilyn.
Good father.
And they were like, yeah, sure. They hand Lily this like 7-inch fillet knife. She brings it down to me. Do you want me to go on with this story?
Dude, I am.
Do I need to say the rest?
Dude, I'm still speechless, dude.
Do I need to tell you that I may or may not have started cooking fish back at the campsite at 7 o'clock at night and was still cooking fish at midnight and fed the whole campground? Do I need to even go there? That it may or may not have been the best fish that I've ever eaten in my life?
Dude, I am still, and even for you to reach in and grab a fish that you couldn't see, like what if it was a shark and it took your arm off?
I know.
You might be the greatest man I've ever met in my life. Your manliness is on another level. Like, I'm not like revering you and bowing down to you, but that is the greatest story I've ever heard. And you know, it came from your surrender to your wife. That's the moral of the entire story.
Is this karma? Or beyond that?
No, karma, it has nothing to do with karma. It has to do with your willingness to surrender to love. That's just the truth, man. And the universe rewarded you and said, JD, you're such a, I do a lot of kid stuff, so I shouldn't say this out loud, but you're such a prick to her most of the time, right? You don't do what she tells you to do. And you know how I know that?
Sure. Yeah.
Do you know how I know that?
How do you know that?
Because I'm the same way with my wife. She always has the answers. And when someone else tells me, and I come home and I'm like, oh, Wendy, like I learned this. And she said, well, I've told you that like 10 times. And I didn't listen. And I'm like, God. And she's right about nutrition, about exercise, about all these other things. She's right. And I don't listen. But you listened. And the universe blessed you.
What do you think Sherilyn said to me when I came out of the ocean with this fish? Put it back right now, or get this thing filleted immediately and packed on ice.
I have so many answers to everything that you say, but I refuse to give them because I'm going to go the route of men and not the divine spirit of woman, right? The other half of the great archetype or cosmos, right? We have these two great archetypes that come together in one.
Yes.
At some level. And but if I give my answer, I will be wrong. So you should just tell me what your other half of your being said.
I'm going to go ask the lifeguard if you can take this fish out of the ocean.
So she did the right thing, where you and I would have done the wrong thing.
You know what the lifeguard said?
Again, I won't answer.
You do.
Male or female lifeguard?
I don't know.
Okay.
But he basically said something to the effect of, I'm looking over here.
Huh. So he gave her a hall pass.
Hall pass.
Hall pass. Okay. So it was a guy. It was a guy. Because if it was another woman, she would have told her the right thing to do. But the guy was like, oh, I'll just look over here.
There's more to this story that's a little graphic.
Yeah.
That
Are you talking about you and your Speedos?
I'm talking about clothes, including a bathing suit, that were permanently destroyed by fish guts that needed to be thrown away, and the rest of the day spent in my underwear
On the beach with
on
your
the
family.
beach, because the clothes had to go. You understand? I mean, had to go. It was from here down. It was like something out of Survivor. It was pretty like.
See, now you're
Texas Chainsaw
You're going
Massacre
into
stuff.
the realm of men again, and you're salaciously going to generate this story. I think we should move on at this point. Dude, JD, that might have been the greatest story of my life. So I was with High Voltage Power Lineman last week, and you've seen my circle box.
Yes,
I brought
it's
it in.
amazing.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
amazing.
it.
It's
I love
amazing. And for those of you that don't know, one of the most important things in my life for the last 7-8 years is this ancient structure called Circle. And I do 500 plus a year sometimes. It's just completely reoriented my perspective to reality. And mostly
where you sit with others in a circle.
Yeah. It's an ancient practice. One person talks, everybody else leans forward, and they listen. And there's a lot to be said about that.
Oh, the L word.
Yeah, the L word. Something that you and I don't do well.
No.
Yep. And so I was with these high voltage power linemen last week. I shared something with you that I could not share with the world, with anybody. Very few savages that have a very low moral compass like yourself. Yeah. Anyway, so a couple months ago, I did a keynote speech in Syracuse, New York, with a contractor group of linemen called Northline Utility. And got done this keynote. And just for some context, people are like, what, linemen? You're all over the place here, Tom. I spent a lot of time talking about destructive decisions. We are not a suicide prevention group, but it's a topic that comes up all the time. And the general suicide rate in America is between 12 and 14 per 100,000. It's how it's measured. And the Marine Corps leads the armed services at 34.9 per 100,000. So I'm just giving you some context. Our children today in America are at that average rate, somewhere between 10 and 14 per 100,000. High voltage power linemen across this nation are at 67.8 per 100,000. They make the Marine Corps look silly. And I know I just used the word silly. There's nothing silly about that conversation. It's this colloquialism or whatever they call it, or some kind of phrase. It's meant to catch your attention. And so I did this keynote speech for these high voltage power linemen. We're working 2 weekends a month for the next year with 1249, the local union in Syracuse. And we'll be there 2 weekends a month for the next year. So it's a huge commitment we've made for these men. And I have so much to say about this topic. This is, days worth of information and content. And so I deliver this keynote, then we break up, and I want to let some of them experience the circle, because the circle is the answer. It's one of the great solutions to humanity and getting back to community, which is what we've lost, which is truly, JD, there's 2 or 3 reasons I'm here and we have a relationship. And one of them is you are all over your community on Aired Out. Everybody wants to go viral, and the prestige bias kicks in, and, they get people that share and like and all this stuff, and it becomes a bit of an addiction, and they want it to go worldwide. One of the beauties of you, this is probably the second or third reason I'm developing a love for you, is that you just go sit with people and talk to them on camera, and it's not about millions and millions of views. It's about that individual you're sitting with, that you're communing with at that moment. Mother Teresa said, never worry about the numbers. Just help the person next to you, and you've changed the world. I always pair that with what Alexander Solzhenitsyn said. He was the one that wrote the Gulag Archipelago that brought down the Soviet Union, really, the Iron Curtain. And that single book, they say. He ended up in New Hampshire, by the way. And he said the universe has as many centers as there are human beings. Because you're the center of the universe. And so is your daughter, and so is your wife. Because when those lights are out someday, the universe is over. We don't know what really happens after that. So if you help one person, you've changed the universe. I'm looking outside at an old man sitting on a bench right now, reading the paper. He's the center of the universe. And J.D. Green, He goes around his community, not to have millions of followers, but to help that individual. So I'm doing this circle after this keynote, and this young man, about 25, stays in the room, just me and him. And I got my circle box, and it's got one of the most important things in my entire life. It's gifts that I've been given from children mostly. And this 25-year-old young man, it's going to blow your mind. You ready for this? I was going to bring the circle box. It's actually in my car. Reaches into his pocket. I'll give you $50 if you can tell me what he pulled out. And you already know the answer. A fishing lure. Yeah. No hooks on it. They've been removed. Pulls out a fishing lure and he hands it to me. He said, "You don't know me, Tom." He sat in a circle with us. He said, "I want to give this to you." I got chills thinking about this. He hands it, puts it in my hand. He goes, "That was Jared's." Jared was a high voltage power lineman, not even for the company he's with, that took his own life within the last year. Jared had a beautiful daughter about your age, your daughter's age. And he was best friends with Jared growing up. The last thing they did together was go fishing, and Jared gave him that lure. And then he was with him the night at a graduation celebration, someone's graduation celebration. And then Jared went back home and did the unthinkable. He gave him that lure, and he put it in my hand. He said, "You need to take this." I said, "Bro, I can't take that from you." He said, "You have to. You need it." He goes, "I need you to put it in that box of yours right there." And I took that lure, and last week I was with Richardson and Son, and that was the company Jared worked for. I had a picture of Jared on the screen during the keynote. Put his picture up there. Cheryl Richardson, who's probably one of the bravest CEOs, owners of a company I've ever met in my life. She's a woman that took over her husband's company called Richardson and Son. 6 years, she's over quadrupled the size of that company because she's not willing to do what men do. She's breaking the mold. And I'm not talking about men working hard. I'm not talking about men building the streets outside and the buildings and stuff like that. That's what men do. But what she's willing to do is break the stigma that men can't do. Because men don't have that kind of courage. Yeah, we don't like to sit around and talk about our feelings. And I don't think they should. I don't think that men should sit around and talk about their feelings. 1,000 years ago, your village gets attacked by a bunch of raiders. It ain't time to sit down for a good cry, buddy. You got to take that sword and you got to get out there. But after the battle, when your daughter, your wife, your cousin, your friend is a casualty, probably a really good thing to sit down and share those emotions with the people around you that you trust. And JD, there's only one way to build trust, and that's through this neurochemical cascade of oxytocin. It's what's on the back of my shirt that I've been wearing for 9 years of my life. I've been wearing this shirt for 9 years, haven't worn another shirt, haven't missed a day in 9 years. That's what men need. And we get it a little bit when we wrestle with our fathers, when we sit around and shoot the breeze with our buddies. But we just stop right there. We have a little good time. Maybe a little bit of liquid courage gets us to talk about some other emotions. But when you have people that you love and you trust, you got to talk about the difficulties, the challenges that you're facing. And yeah, that's what we got a chance to do in honor of Jared. Sit around, talk about our feelings, a bunch of hairy, hard men at the right time. And that circle for you. And I got to take that little lure and I put in every lineman's hand. They all knew Jared. And it came from a young man that probably had to see the courage of people like Cheryl and other people say, "Hey man, you got to surrender." Just like you had to surrender. to the big fish story. Ain't that incredible?
He didn't have to take that lure out of his pocket.
And surrender it. Yeah.
That's sacred stuff, man.
Sacred.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what's amazing is you sent me a voice message this morning, and I replied with a big, long voice reply message. And one of the things that I said in it was, I want to talk with you about oxytocin, that it's on the back of these shirts, and the message failed. It wouldn't go through. So I haven't even had a chance to bring that up, and I'm so glad that you did. Yeah. There is something that happens to us chemically when we hug or receive a hug from someone. But in the schools, we're not supposed to be hugging each other in the schools. And post-pandemic, even more so, because of spreading germs and so on and so forth, and but it's not appropriate, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on. The message that you push with hug someone doesn't always have to be a physical hug. It can be quick touch on the shoulder. Hey, you good? What can I do to help? But look at all of this, like this rewiring of our brains post-pandemic of like pro-social distancing and non-touch. Are we ever going to get the hell out of that?
Man, there's so much to be said. I just find myself keep coming back to these cosmic lessons, these ones that have stood the test of time, and Circle has stood the test of time. You know, all of your ancestors sat in Circle for thousands and thousands of years, and they were just communing with one another. And even in Jonathan Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation, one of the great conclusions is that we have to get back to community. And there's just ancient stuff, man. And a lot of times I reference these ancient manuscripts. And you don't have to be a Bible person or anything like that. But I think it was the second letter of John that I was reading. And at the very end, I think it's the second. Someone can correct me if they're listening. But it's just crazy. True story, man. I'm listening to it on my way here. You know how it ends? I'm not going to write to you in pencil and paper. I need to talk to you face to face. That's what it says. Take the transcendent God stuff out of it. I just find that these lessons, like, you can't beat them. As much as you want to, you can't beat them. Take all the God stuff out, the reality, the Savior, the nailing up on the cross, all that. Just take it out. That's a different conversation. But the lesson on my ride here.
This morning.
Yeah, and that's how it ends. And it was the only little chunk I listened to. Because I'm always like, I need another strategy. I need another strategy. Life's not a talent contest. It's a strategy game. Get the strategy, Tom. Don't peddle God on people. Just get the strategy and give it to someone. And that's what he says at the end. He says, I'm not going to write to you in pen and paper. I need to be with you. Why? Because I need that cascade of oxytocin. And there's great research that says when your kid goes off to college, don't text them. It doesn't have that oxytocin release. FaceTime them. And they'll have it. And that's what they need. They need that connection. Life comes down to one thing. Relationships, connection, nothing else. I'm giving up everything in my life, man. I'm getting rid of my stuff. I'm getting rid of my money. Whatever, dude. Because it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that connection. You came into the world with nothing. You're going out with nothing. As goofy as that sounds, but man,
It's true.
man, what a fish story this is, huh?
Did you get it? I know that we have a lot to talk about, and school has just started up. Most schools across the country started school on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, yesterday. And here we go, 0 to 60 in a half a second here.
Dude, there's a rocket ship happening right now. We're not 0 to 60 anymore, baby, especially in some of these states where they are removing cell phones from schools.
New York.
Every school. Hang on, baby.
Yeah, this is a ride, bro. This is amazing. And how many schools will Sweethearts and Heroes be impacting this coming year?
The answer, as many as we can.
You got a big team now that's, y'all are driving the bus.
Yeah.
And you all bring something different to the table. I mean, Rick is not Brian, and Brian is definitely not Leon. Leon's on a whole different way. That guy's he's in a different
Reality.
just totally different reality.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's in a but y'all bring something different.
Yeah.
All of you.
Yeah. That's another one of these transcendent stories, right?
Yeah.
Like someone's the
team,
head.
Your team has been created by accident. I mean, look at Jen. I mean, people have naturally gravitated, and your team has been built that way.
As Bob Ross would say, the happy little accident.
Oh, the happy little accident. Yes. You didn't say, I need to go find some guy who's been burned alive, who's a veteran, and see if I can find that person to be part of my team to share his story and convey his message. Everything has stumbled upon you, including you and I.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know you were coming to my daughter's school, that Sweethearts and Heroes. And my wife's like, I'm telling you, you need to get this guy on the air. I mean, she doesn't sound like that. But, I mean, this is amazing. It's amazing. And I have fallen in love with all of you guys. Even Nathan. What he brought to the microphones.
Hey, did you hear about our new flavor?
Oh, Lord.
Chad?
Talk to me.
Oh, jeez. Oh, Chad. I should have told him to listen today. I should tell him to get on right now.
I can't keep up with your social media,
dude,
buddy.
Listen, Chad is, wow. So a couple of years ago, and I'll make this super quick. And if anybody wants to ask a question, I only take hard questions, so no softballs. So if somebody chats you and wants to ask a question, if it's from Rick, delete it.
Okay, I will immediately. He's blocked.
Okay, good. So but real quickly, Chad, this is a cool little story, and man, wait till you have this guy on. So a couple of years ago, I'm down in Warwick, New York, and a friend of mine from high school introduced me to this guy that she knows. They become friends. And I meet him, shake his hand. Something just stuck with me with the dude. Anyway, takes off. I didn't realize this, but Rick ran into him at a Tunnel to Towers event. And God bless that organization. Really done some amazing things. Rick has been one of their main spokespeople for years. Actually, it's coming up. He'll be there next weekend or whenever it is. And so we always like to shout out that. But Rick actually runs into my friend from high school and him. So then a couple of years go by. And I go to Florida, New York last year. Little school, 40, 50 kids per grade level. And I get home, and then ding, I get a message. Hey, I don't think you remember me. My name is Tom, your friend from high school. We're friends. I'm like, yeah, dude, I remember. Just something stuck with me. He said, you were my kid's school today. And I just wanted to reach out and tell you that I really appreciate it. You know, most kids don't come home and say, Mom and Dad, let's talk about school. It's
Right.
awesome.
Right.
One of the greatest things for me is when parents call me, message me. My favorite compliment, my favorite message is when a parent reaches out and say, I don't really ever talk to my kid, and or things have just not been well between my son or my daughter and myself, and they came home and they wouldn't stop talking about it. It's a beautiful thing for me. And so it's just one of those things, and I just expect it. And all of a sudden it hits me, man, this guy's a Marine. Next week, I'm doing this keynote at Richardson and Son in Syracuse. And now he's down near like the Fishkill area, that kind of area. And I just say it. I'm like, hey, I'm doing a keynote. You're a 17-year major retired from the Marine Corps. You want to come watch? I've met a lot of these linemen. They remind me of Marines. Rick and I have spoken twice at Camp Pendleton. 1,000 infantry Marines. These are the men that he had to lead into combat 3 times. 3-time combat veteran. And he's not slipped, but he's mentioned in conversations about the concussions he had from explosions and stuff. So I don't know the depths of his experiences, but they're very in depth. What he went through. His eyeballs have seen things that human beings have probably we're not supposed to see. Mm-hmm. And he led men in war. And I've kind of fallen in love with him. His humility, his kindness, his gentleness is remarkable. And he went through the fire. Not just in war, but he went through the fire in his heart and his mind. And he's coming out the other side now. And it's just the man that we need for these linemen that are struggling.
What's happening right now? He
was with me yesterday at OESJ.
Right.
Every time I call, he comes. He was with me all last week, sitting in circle with these men. He's been to a couple of our circle trainings. He's been to, a half a dozen of these keynotes. He'll be with me in Syracuse for the next year, twice a week, 2 weekends a month. So you got to meet him, man. He's but it's not his combat. It's nothing to do with that. And the craziest thing is, Chad and I graduated the same year and grew up 20 minutes away from each other. Worcester, New York. Never met him. But we can talk about Southside Mall in Oneonta. We went school shopping. We were probably walking by each other our whole lives. And now the universe brought us together. Exactly what you're saying. And we needed someone for these linemen, because I can't do it all. I'll be doing Local 42 in Connecticut in November. We'll be talking to them. We're going down to Allen Brightway in New Jersey. I'll be in Puerto Rico in March 1st, 2nd, 3rd, speaking to everyone that runs apprentice schools across America. And but the universe knew we needed someone that could talk to these type of men, someone that's been through a fire that I can't understand. So I'm just following up on what you said. I know I said I'd make it short, but you said like these things, this serendipity happens and all of these people are attracted. And every time I forced it though in my life, like, oh dude, I think you should work for us. I think you should come and do this work. Never works. But when I surrender to the universe, it just happens. And now Chad's on the team. Wait till you meet this guy.
God, we all have to learn how to do that, though.
Yeah, right?
Oh.
But we're men.
Let things come to you.
Yeah.
Like a giant fish.
Yeah.
Instead of going and trying to catch it and looking for it all the time.
That might be in the manual somewhere too. Yeah.
Books that you've written and you have co-written and you've had help with others. Tell us about some. Well,
I want to have a little bit of a resurgence with 13 Pillows. You know, I want to have a resurgence. The Wizard was the one that put that one together, and the Wizard is Brian. We started. It's funny because I just sent this to a superintendent last night. I was talking to him so I got up at 4 a.m. yesterday morning. Couldn't sleep. I'm in Johnstown, New York, in the Holiday Inn, and have to do opening day at OESJ. Adam Haroth, you need to have him on. I think Leon's working on it, but he's a superintendent. He is he's a man, is what he is, and we have a crazy good relationship. And he's a young superintendent, and so he asked me to do opening day. I think it was the first opening day in 16 years we brought everyone. You know, Pat was there, Joe was there, Chad was there. And so we did this crazy, crazy cool opening day for Adam. But I woke up at 4 a.m. and I knew he was doing a sunrise breakfast with the seniors. And so I just woke up like, hey, can I come? Up on the soccer field. He's got a beautiful field. And he's like, yeah. And I'm on one mission this year. One of my big missions is talk to kids about cell phones in school. To listen to them.
Not to preach.
Yeah. Well, let me give you an example. Bring me back to where I'm at because I'll forget. But, you know, as I ended last school year, I started having this conversation because I knew this was coming. And probably 3 of the young ladies that I spoke to at that sunrise breakfast brought this up. First thing they bring up, what happens when there's a shooter comes into the school? I want to be like, what do you mean? But I had this conversation with young people, and I stopped doing that. And I had this conversation at the end of last school year. Started having the cell phone conversation. It's a big conversation with you and I. It's big. I'll try and just get right to the heart of it. And there's so much, man. I'm just going to pause a little bit.
I was going to say, you know, you and I could do a podcast.
Yeah, I know. But let me just get this out of my head because people that are touching kids in schools and districts and superintendents and all this school boards, they need to understand something fundamental that they can't understand. So as I talked to young people at the end of last school year preparing for this, that's the topic they want to talk about. And immediately we want to brush it off. Well, statistically, that's not going to happen in your school. But that's not the point. The point is fear has been driven into their hearts. And when I hear young people say, when I go into a classroom and there's a little window slit in the door, I make sure I sit where a shooter can't see me. I had a conversation with a young person last year, and this young person said, I know where my girlfriend is 100% of the day. I have her schedule memorized. So when the shooter comes in, I can get to her and protect her.
When
the shooter comes in, I can get and protect. So I don't care if you think it's a bunch of hocus pocus or nonsense. That's the mindset that our children have in going into education today.
Unreal.
And how are we going to fix it? We're going to put more security guards, take away guns. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. But that is such a myopic, and I don't get in fights over this stuff. But I learned these things by listening to young people. And the thing that changed me was this. I got to be very careful when I tell this story. Very, very careful. I don't think I should tell this story. Let me give you a kind of. It's too sensitive. But I was at a school where something awful happened. And a young man gets his phone removed. I got to bail on this. I can't go any further.
Yeah, I get it.
It ends in the unimaginable. And if he had his phone in his hand, I think there's a chance he might still be here because of what Rick taught me. You have to get through that moment because that's all it is. When someone makes the decision to do the unthinkable, some of the research says that they do it within 10 minutes. And it's just a moment you have to get through. That's it. The issue hasn't been fixed. You're still going to be sad, depressed, anxious, but you just have to get through that moment. Mm-hmm. And what's the one thing that gets a kid through a moment? Their friends. That's what got you through moments when your buddies were like, don't do it, man. Don't punch a hole in that wall. Don't punch that kid because you're pissed and angry. This phone is a connection to their friends. That's how they get that keep and get and communicate that relationship. You may not like it. I don't like it. But the first thing you need to do as an adult is look in the mirror if you're a Gen Xer and say, you caused this mess. You did. What do you mean? No, I didn't. They didn't put the phones in their hands. They didn't put the tablets in their hands. We can talk about the addiction, the sleep deprivation, and all this other stuff if you want to. But you did it to them. And now my big kick, and I'm going to get myself in big trouble for this year, I got a whole roll of stickers. I hope they're here today. I'm cell phone free. You know who they're for? For me. I'm going into school this year, and I'm cell phone free because the kids are. How many teachers are willing to do that? And I'm a defender of teachers. I love teachers. I say that teachers are the most important people in North America today out of everybody. Come on, Tom. They spend more time with kids than their own parents. And when you talk about moral fabric, the moral fabric of our teachers is what's given to our children. Because we're too busy going to soccer games and doing this and doing that. And I'm not beating parents up. I just see it. And teachers are giving this moral code that, should have been written on this kid's heart from childhood. And there are many great parents that are doing that. But you're going to go into a school and you're going to be a teacher and say, oh, wait a minute, I'm mature. I can handle this. Number one, sister, brother, you're as addicted as most kids to your phone, just like me. But number two, man, you think that just because you tell them to do it, they're going to do it? No, they have to see you do it. That's how it works. So have some guts. Put your phone away all day, teach, right? Oh, I'm using it for work. Do you know how many hundreds of auditoriums and this is not, again, it's not a criticism, that I've sat in the back when Rick takes over and I see teachers just doing this. I'm pretty sure it's not lesson plans. I'm pretty sure it's social media, right? These variable reward, algorithms and systems that are being fed to them just like everyone else. But the point is, and I'm not against it, man, we have to figure this out together. And every generation changes because of the fluid intelligence that the younger generation that comes into being has. Socrates figured this out. So what they do, they killed him because he was tapping into that intelligence. We all have this crystallized intelligence that continues to rise our whole lives. But once your fluid intelligence is gone, it's gone. But you can get it back if you shut your mouth and you listen to young people. Bro, I'm not naive. I had 4 kids, and my youngest is 21. They're wrong most of the time. But if you pay attention and you pick out those kernels of wisdom that the universe brings in through fluid intelligence, man, you can just do some cool stuff. Look at what, I'm not going to say Elon Musk because people hate him. I think they're starting to like him again.
Buzzword.
Yeah, but what did he bring? Take the philosophy and the ideology out. But what did he bring into the mix? Younger people, right? The Doge people were younger because he knows the hack, the secret, right? You got to coach young people differently and say, man, I tried that. That piece doesn't work, but man, you're onto something with that piece. And man, young people are the secret. And that's the Sweethearts and Heroes message, right? Because it's about, empowering young people to be the change, to helping them develop that moral code within, right? It was Immanuel Kant said, two things fill my heart with the ever sense of awe and wonder, the starry skies above and the moral code within. And that's written indelibly on the heart, this moral code. But it has to be grown. It has to be like a garden. It has to be watered and tended because it's fragile. And when you can help a young person develop that in the midst of this unbelievable intelligence that they're exploding, this wonder beam that's just shining from them that we shut down, whew, man, you could do anything.
I was listening to the whole Wonder Beam, and one of the things that kept coming to my mind is we all have these mirrors that can refract that light into different directions. It's the same light, but it's just going in different directions. And some people are walking around with a big old disco ball that they're carrying around. And some of us just have a couple of mirrors. But man, it's like trying to just keep that Wonder Beam on the straight and narrow and just let it go where it needs to go and penetrate what it needs to penetrate without it getting refracted somewhere.
Yeah. Light. I was talking to a theologian a day or two ago, and that was the conversation about light, right? Einstein played with that one, right?
Yeah.
That's how he developed the theory of relativity, was watching light come into the window and dust motes floating in it. You know, he couldn't even get a job as a substitute teacher. They thought he was too strange and weird, and he got a job at a patent office, and he was just sitting there. He was so good, he didn't have to spend a lot of time on his work, and he just saw these dust motes floating, you know, in this light beam. He's like, I wonder if I could ride a beam of light. Mm-hmm. It's all about light.
Yeah.
But you go into some deep theology
Sure.
about light entering the world. You know that this is incredible. When conception happens, look this up. It's fascinating. There's a flash of light. Inside a woman, in her womb, there's a flash of light. That's the wonder beam. It's the spark. Dude, look it up. It'll blow your freaking mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to say to you, because if I don't, I'll forget. If anyone listening right now has not had a chance, speaking of a gift of light coming into your life, if you haven't had a chance to, I don't want to say watch or listen to, but rather experience Peter Hawks on Aired Out just recently. It is so worth making. Don't try to find it, because you're not going to find it. You're not going to find the time. Make the time to carve out an hour of your day at some point, maybe before you go to bed, and just listen to this man's soul permeate on the microphones. Have you had a chance, Tom?
Yeah, I've got through most of it.
The guy is just like, it was one of those moments where, it was one of those episodes, kind of like this morning, where I know that once I leave the studio, I won't remember my drive home. Just like, I can't, I'm not even going to try to describe that podcast, because it was so deep. Kind of like ours this morning.
I met him because we just transitioned our entire 5 or 6 year curriculum development to a company called Thrively in California. A couple 100,000 teachers using this platform, and we wanted to deliver our content for our classes. We have a full suite of classes for every other day. A leadership class, and one of the tiny little pieces in there is developing your own core values. You should have a set of core values that you live your life by. And when his son Ryan perished, they found his core values on his computer. And my favorite one is play like every day like you're 13. So anyway, yeah, he's a cool dude, man. And you talk to him, and he seems like an 87-year-old skateboard dude.
He's mountain biking.
He's a savage.
Who the hell's mountain biking at 87?
I know. Hey, can I back up real quick just
Please.
on 13 Pillows?
Yeah.
It's on Audible and Amazon, and I told Brian the other day, I said, I want to just give it away for free. See if we can get on Audible and just make it a free download. This is a great book. We're just really quickly, I just want to close the loop on that because I was talking about it, and I jump in these rabbit holes, and then I'm in another one, and I'm like, where was I at?
Yeah.
And but I've been telling these stories for years, and when Brian first came on with us, he traveled with us, and he sat in the back of auditoriums and classrooms, and he listened to these stories. And I said, we need a book. And we were doing this little seminar called 13 Pillows, and I'll give you the nugget on that one. When you lay your head down the pillow tonight, you have to say, every night of your life, you have to say, I wish I had, or I'm glad I did. That's the pillow test. You lay your head down the pillow, you say, I wish I had, or I'm glad I did. If you say, I wish I had, you failed the pillow test. And that's okay.
Be honest with yourself.
I fail it all the time. Yeah, be honest with yourself. But if you lay your head down the pillow and you say, I'm glad I did, you pass the pillow test. So, there's like somebody sitting on that park bench out there, and you walk by because you're in a rush, and you lay your head down, and the person looks sad, and you say, man, I wish I had stopped and just said hi. It's okay to fail the pillow test. There's 86,400 seconds in every day. And just don't ever forget this, that
What's that number again?
86,400 seconds in every day. Imagine if you woke up and there was 86,400 pennies in your bank account every single day. Every day. It's like Groundhog Day, right? Boom. Well, you have that every day. Take advantage of it. And it resets. So you can fail the pillow test. There's nothing wrong with it. But so the next day when you walk by and you just walk by that same guy, you might say, oh, geez. And that's one of our pillows. Never walk by a wilting flower. That's a great story right there. And so then you stop and you talk to him and you hear something and you learn something, and he gives you a gift, right, of his time and his story and his emotions. Those are gifts. And then you lay your head down on the pillow and you say, man, I'm glad I did. Change your life forever. So anyway, but 13 Pillows is a wonderful book, and it's a fictional allegory in honor of a young man took his own life, a kid I was in a wrestling room with many times. You wouldn't have known this kid was in the wrestling room until he wasn't. He's just one of these invisible kids. And 2009, he did the unthinkable. His name was Evan. And the book's in honor of Evan, about a young man that takes his own life. In the book, his name is Alan. And young educator loses him, just wants to throw in the towel in education, says, this sport ain't for me. I got into this sport to turn boys into men and men into champions. And so he writes his resignation letter on the very first page in the prologue, goes in the gym early in the morning, reads it out loud, just wants to hear himself through this thing, reflect. He's in that stage in his life where he's just, leaving 25 and that growing brain and coming into a bit of a deeper philosophical mindset and exploration and trying to understand. And so he reads it out loud real early, and he gets done, and out of the shadows steps a custodian, retired educator, loses his wife to cancer, just wants to come back and be around kids again. And he hears this young man's heart just spilling all over this floor, and he's got all the answers. And he just steps out of the shadows and has a conversation with him. And modeled after a good friend of mine named Tim McGowan. And that's one of my Yodas in life. Tim McGowan helped Dr. Peter Weinman build Wingman Guardian Connect for the Air Force because of those destructive decisions. And Tim's always got all the answers for me. I call him up and I'm like, Tim, I got a tough one for you. And he just rips it out without thinking. Anyway, this old man steps out from the shadows and gives this kid a lesson and just has a conversation with him. And then they go on this journey together in this wonderful, Socratic dialogue. It's written a little differently. There's a book called Ishmael, a gorilla behind a piece of glass and a young man that just has a conversation with him. So it's really heavy in dialogue, where the lessons are delivered in dialogue, but just takes him through this wonderful conversation of these 13 pillows on what it means to be an affective versus an effective educator. Because in New York State, every teacher is assessed on their effectiveness. It's an assessment called APPR. And but the great Benjamin Bloom said there's 3 domains of learning: the cognitive, the psychomotor that interacts with the world. But he said if you're going to connect the head to the hands, you have to go through the heart, or the affective domain. You got to go through the heart. You can't get to the hands from the head to the hands without going through the heart. And the greatest educators that I've met my entire life, not just in the last 16 years, it's because they taught from the heart. And if you want to know what it means to be an affective educator, you get that book. But I'm going to give you a flyer, JD. I don't know if Brian's listening. He can email it to you. But there's a QR code. You can get the e-copy for free. And there's a Google Drive. We just threw all the audio chapters because it was professionally read. I like to speed it up to about 1.5, but really a cool book.
Frank Girard.
Yeah, Frank, and he's a man. He's got some good books out, but it's a sick book, dude. And it's just, and it has nothing to do with education. It has to do with life. Like pillow number 1, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? And that's true. It has to be true, because when a kid's suffering, when a kid's in trouble, a lot of times we're trying to make kids sprint. Get this done, get that done. But life's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm holding myself back because I got a couple good stories about life being a marathon, not a sprint. So, but I don't know. You asked about it, and Brian sat in the back of this classroom, and I was like, hey, man, or auditoriums for like 2 years. And I'm like, hey, we got to write a book. And so we took the lessons of 13 Pillows and we wrote them into individual chapters. But I'm a big allegorical reader. Lewis, C.S. Lewis, Chesterton, Muggeridge. I like those guys. And it just speaks to your heart, these stories that are transcendent, that go through time and culture and generations. They just transcend all of that. And Brian knows that because I'm always talking to him about stuff like that. And so one day we had this whole book put together, these 13 different chapters. And one day he's like, I think we got to scrap it. I'm like, what, are you crazy? But he's the wizard. And he pays attention. He can read my mind. And he's like, let's do a fictional allegory. I said, okay, do it. And so he took all these stories I was telling teachers for years and put them together in 13 Pillows. I don't think it gets as much play because the title isn't that sexy. And anyway, so it's a great book, though, man. And I love taking teachers through it in book clubs. It's a fun book. And I was just talking about it yesterday. I haven't done a book club in a couple of years on 13 Pillows. So anyway, you were asking about the book, and it's just a fun book.
God, I'd love to be part of that. I really would.
Yeah.
That book club. Before we close out this morning, I just got to tell you a couple of things. Number one, I really want to come to one of your events, presentations at a school or otherwise to experience Rick and you and everyone else. Maybe be in a circle, maybe be outside of the circle.
No, you got to be in the circle if you're in the room.
That's fine. Certainly happy and willing. And Peru still impacts me, being over at Peru High School with you. But and this is something that Heather and Jen and Pat, Brian, Joe, everyone, Rick, everyone's ready for this. I'm like, when are we, the Sweethearts and Heroes family, just your team, going to sit down? I want to be part of it if I can. I'll pay my way. I'll give the $50 back. have our own circle.
Man, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Can I talk about?
Has that ever been done?
Well, we're in circle with each other quite a bit, but just us. No, we haven't done the Just Sweethearts and Heroes circle. That'd be great.
I want to be part of that.
Okay. Can I talk about one of the most important circles in my life?
Sure.
You know, I'm not a Vermonter. I adopted Vermont in 1999. I got kicked out of New York for some indiscretion. I'm kidding. I was a young father, 6-month-old baby. My wife, Wendy, and I. I was on my way to graduate school, the Adler School in Chicago. I was hoping to get into, and I've been a big fan of Adler recently. Alfred Adler, just really a neat guy. The world went in the direction of Freud, and they should have went in the direction of Adler. And he was a neat guy. And anyway, so I was on my way there, and I took a job in the rail industry for the summertime because I was a new father, and fell in love with the industry, which is funny because you couldn't tell the difference between a conductor and an engineer and a lineman. And now the universe put me back in that world later in life, which is kind of cool. I've been thinking a lot about that orchestration by the universe. And but anyway, first time I ever made money in my life, I grew up with almost nothing, man. My dad used to hide $2 bills in books, and remember my mom, like as a kid, shaking these books out trying to find $2 for a gallon of milk. So I never really made any money growing up as a kid. Worked some farms when we moved to New York, and made a few bucks here and there in the summertime. But I graduated from college and I started working for this rail company, making $17 an hour. Man, I thought I was a millionaire. Had a baby and a wife, and I was like, man, this feels good. I like this industry. I like the rawness of it. So I take a job in St. Albans, Vermont, with another rail company because the one I was working for was being sold. And it's a big, crazy long story. And so I end up moving to St. Albans in March. It's dirty. The snowbanks are brown. My wife was not happy about it, but she surrendered to the man. And she's a half.
She surrendered to King Tom.
Oh, jeez. She's half Costa Rican, and she doesn't like the snow and the cold. But for 27 years now, she bent the knee to be my greatest helper on planet Earth. And she's the most important thing in my life, more important than all 4 of my kids put together. True story. That's a big conversation, my friend. Anyway, we move up here, and I jump into this rail industry, and this man fell into my life named Charlie Moore. Just saw him. He's 81 years old. He's on oxygen. Just saw him a couple days ago for the first time in a couple of years. Spent 4 hours talking to him. Got myself all choked up, too. Changed my life, that man. But I moved to Vermont, and I became part of the community because Charlie Moore told me I had to be. He moved here from the state of Washington, and this is a Charlie Moore lesson. And I got a whole book of these. Man, changed my life. And he forced me to become part of the DRB and the city whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to do this stupid stuff, man. Listen to people's stuff. And he said, and
the Development Review Board?
Yeah. He made me do it in St. Albans, and it was
You?
great. Yeah, I know, dude. I know. But I got to listen to people's struggles, business owners that were failing and needed help, and all that stuff, all this Sweethearts and Heroes stuff that I'd never done before in that capacity for my community. It's all coming full circle. So Charlie, just a huge part of my life. He's passed away in a couple of years, and I don't know how I'll process that. I got some Charlie Moore stories, man, that'll bring you to your knees. One about a young man that took his own life, and sitting at a table with him struggling with the $119,000 bill that I needed to pay that I couldn't pay. And when I was sitting talking to him, randomly, a mother from South Carolina sends me a picture of her son in a coffin. As the words are coming out of my mouth about the despair I was in. And I'm sitting there and I look at my phone, and I used to have the text messages pop up. I don't do that anymore. It's a long time ago. And I look at it, he goes, "What's wrong? You're scaring me." That's what he said to me. I put my phone down. I said, "Charlie, I'm good." I said, "I'm fine." I thought about my own son. It was about that age, and my own daughter that was about that age. I've never thought about money from that day on, the struggle of money. It's a long story. I'll have to tell it to you sometime. But anyway, so I come in. Charlie Moore forces me to become part of the physical community. I'm doing railroad stuff all over the country. I'm like, what does Little St. Albans have to do anything? Well, Tom, that's where you're going to raise your children, where you say they're the most important thing in your life. Make them the most important thing. This is where your wife decided to be for you and your selfish desires. Make it part of the community, your family. So I did. I trusted him because it's Charlie Moore. One of the loves of my life, that guy. And anyway, as part of this circle, this community, I got to know these Chevy dealers. I got to know these Chevy dealers. And there's been a little bit of strain with the relationship because they want things done a certain way. And, and I find my resistance on the line, striking. And, but man, I'm so grateful to these men and probably a handful of women that are probably the only smart ones in the group. But I'm kidding. But
they have supported your efforts to get you guys into schools.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah, man. They're changing and saving lives. They're changing so many universes.
Yeah.
All them kids.
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't have got to your daughter's school
without Wells River Chevrolet.
If it wasn't for Wells River Chevrolet. Yeah. You and I wouldn't have met.
No.
Nope. If it wasn't for Wells River Chevrolet. This whole podcast is because of Wells River Chevrolet.
Sure.
Right? And I could go down the list. Mark Alderman. Man, what that guy has done in Rutland. We wouldn't have done the summit without Mark Alderman. Think about that. That was the greatest life-changing event. Joe DeSena from Spartan. He's got millions of followers, 5 million followers. I wouldn't have my relationship without Mark Alderman, with one of the greatest organizations that's changing the health of America if it wasn't for Mark Alderman.
Amazing.
I could go on with Brian Hoare, with Brian Bonk, all these men, right? And anyway, I just think that's one of the greatest circles Vermont has ever given me was those men that have sacrificed the thing that corrupts all men, money, sacrificed it to help their communities, their children.
Yeah.
Man, what a circle that one is. I'd like to get in a circle with all 15 of those guys.
When can I have you back on?
Oh man,
I know you're.
I'll be here
scheduled.
tomorrow, JD. No.
Well.
I'm headed to a school tomorrow, so.
I can't thank you enough, man.
Yeah, man.
For schlepping out here and doing this with me. And I can't thank you enough for your partnership with Aired Out. I am so blessed, so rewarded by it.
Well, I'll disagree with that. It's we are the ones that are blessed because now we get to reach some kid in a trailer. His old man's listening to this, doesn't realize that he's listening to it, and he's going to say, you know what? There's hope.
Yeah.
There's hope.
What a powerful and sometimes dangerous word. Man, and what Rick brings for Hold On.
Why'd you say it's dangerous? I got a thought about that.
We'll do an episode on that.
Huh.
Can we?
Yeah, man. I just got to. I'll leave it with.
I'm not going to answer that right now.
Good. I'll leave you with a quote to kind of staple to it.
Okay, please.
So Augustine said, "We love the truth when it enlightens us. We hate it when it convicts us." There's some powerful ancient words right there. We love the truth when it enlightens us. We like to flaunt it, running around, tell everyone about it, but we hate it when it convicts us, when it convicts our heart. And yeah, man, it can be a dangerous word, hope, because it can convict you in the unbelievable way, in a visceral way. It can convict you and say, I know what I have to do. Then go do it.
Thanks for coming in, Tom.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too, bud. Tom Murphy, Sweethearts and Heroes, right here on Aired Out. Thanks, buddy.